From Davos, Washington is striking a defiant tone. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has dismissed European warnings as media hysteria, urging NATO allies to take a deep breath and warning against any escalation against the United States. Bessent insists existing trade deals with the European Union remain intact and says tariff threats linked to Greenland are being deliberately exaggerated. He rejected talk of Europe retaliating by dumping US treasuries as illogical, arguing that America offers unmatched certainty through deregulation, tax cuts, and energy security. But as Washington tells its allies to stay calm, Europe is doing the opposite, preparing for confrontation.
Again, I would say this is the same kind of hysteria that we heard on April 2nd. There was a panic. And what I am urging everyone here to do is sit back, take a deep breath, and let things play out. As I said on April 2nd, the worst thing countries can do is escalate against the United States. Back then, only one country, China, escalated. We ended up in an unfortunate tit for tat in tariff raises. We ended up at 145, 125. Through President Trump's good relations with Party Chair Xi, we have managed to stabilize that relationship and given great certainty. And as far as your question about the additional tariffs, what President Trump is threatening on Greenland is very different than the other trade deals. So I would urge all countries to stick with their trade deals. We have agreed on them, and it does provide great certainty.
Europe's biggest powers are escalating their warning to Washington as transatlantic relations enter their most dangerous phase in decades. Germany and France say President Donald Trump's repeated tariff threats and economic pressure tactics are no longer isolated incidents, but part of a deliberate strategy that risks dismantling the foundations of the NATO alliance and the post-war transatlantic order.
We are constantly experiencing new provocations. We are constantly experiencing a new confrontation that President Trump is looking for. And here, we have to make it clear to Europeans that the border has been reached.
Klingbeil made it clear that Europe will no longer tolerate economic pressure being used as a geopolitical weapon, especially between long-standing allies bound by decades of shared security and trade ties. While Berlin says diplomatic channels with Washington remain open, the message is unmistakable. Europe is preparing retaliation, not as a bluff, but as a contingency. Germany and France are now coordinating with Brussels and other EU capitals to ensure Europe can respond rapidly if Trump follows through on his threats.
Germany and France agree that we will not allow ourselves to be oppressed. There will be a closed, clear answer from Europe, and we are now preparing closed countermeasures with our European partners. In this case, we are preparing for President Trump to uphold his customs threats.
France reinforced that warning, accusing the United States of fundamentally changing the rules of engagement between allies. Paris argues that trade tools, once designed to manage economic competition, are now being weaponized to force political outcomes, a shift that France says undermines trust inside NATO and destabilizes the global trading system.
Blackmail between 250-year-old allies, blackmail between friends, is obviously not acceptable. And it is, as far as I know, the first time that an economic instrument, the tariffs, are used for geopolitical reasons, by force, to the detriment of adversaries and friends.
At the heart of the confrontation is Greenland, a strategically vital Arctic territory central to NATO's northern defense architecture. France and Germany have now openly aligned with Denmark, warning that sovereignty and territorial integrity cannot be negotiated through economic threats, even among NATO members. The Arctic, once a zone of cooperation, is rapidly becoming a new front line in great power rivalry.
We are fully in solidarity with the Kingdom of Denmark and the Greenlandic people. The principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected.
Behind closed doors, Europe is now weighing its strongest economic countermeasures. These include reactivating suspended EU tariffs on American imports, and more significantly, deploying the European Union's anti-coercion instrument, a legal mechanism designed to strike back against states that use economic pressure to force political concessions. Officials acknowledge such measures would escalate tensions, but argue deterrence is now essential.
The nuclear weapon is above all a weapon of dissuasion. The nuclear weapon is there so as not to be used. I hope that we will remain there as well. But of course, the anti-coercion instrument is part of the instruments at our disposal.